Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. And if you're new here, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. So today's a bit of a different video because, got some sad news. I woke up this morning and checked my phone to find out that Van Halen had passed away. And I was like, man, just another nail in the 2020 coffin this year. Jesus, this year is so shit. But yeah, so I saw that Eddie had passed away, and I'm making this video as a guitarist at heart, and just as a fan, and because he did have an impact on like the way I played, and I assume the way a lot of guitarists play. So yeah, I just wanted to have like a quick talk about it. I'm just gonna be rambling. I might do some editing later, but yeah, it's just gonna be a ramble about it. So like Eddie Van Halen, let's talk about him. I'm just gonna get a quick coffee before I start. My first experience with Eddie must have been like when I was like 8 or 9 years old. Like I'm 23 now, so it's been a while. Like I've known him for quite a while. I was just starting off playing guitar, and of course you have your guitar heroes. Jimi Hendrix, Jimmy Page, and of course there was Van Halen. And Van Halen was a really interesting one because he was such an innovator. He was such a different type of guitarist that you were just always in awe of him. He was insane as a guitar player. And my first experience was me trying to learn, So when my first introduction to him was seeing him play the song Eruption, at least the guitar solo online. And I was just absolutely mesmerized from start to finish watching that solo. I'd never seen anyone play guitar the way he did. He was just... It was fucking mind-blowing. The way he was playing it, the noises that were coming out of that instrument, he was fucking brutalizing that instrument. He was just abusing the shit out of his guitar and came up with these such creative, innovative textures and noises that I'd never heard before. And then, of course, the tapping. That legendary tapping he did. I heard that for the first time. I was like, fuck. And I immediately picked up my guitar and tried to learn it. And I was horrible at it. I was absolutely shit at it. I couldn't learn that thing to save my life. Even though it was just a pretty harmless minor pentatonic scale, it was so different. It was so unique. It was cutting edge. And I'm sure like people had been tapping before him, but he definitely popularized it. And he was such an innovator of that style. And I think we do take it for granted these days. We have all these guitarists now that are at like the next echelon levels of playing guitar. You have people tapping using all like 10 of their fingers all up and down the board. People are making coffee while playing. But we got to remember, it had to all come from somewhere. Somebody had to get inspired to do that stuff. And I think, one of those people who definitely had a huge impact is Van Halen. He did things with the guitar that nobody was doing at the time. It was so fresh. It was breathtaking. It was mesmerizing what he was doing. And unsurprisingly, people picked up on it. And, they innovated it, made their own things out of it. They really did a lot to it. Ever since I heard, Eruption, I think even Eruption, like listening to that made me really reconsider myself as a guitarist. Like after listening to Eruption, I was genuinely like, oh, I love the guitar now. Like I want to do this. I want to really put myself into this instrument. Because that's what he did. And he looked so goddamn relaxed when he was doing all this insane stunts. He was like a stunt man with a guitar. He was like those daredevil bikers, who jump all those, rings and stuff. But he did that with his guitar. And speaking of which, his guitar, such an iconic guitar that as soon as you saw that guitar, you knew who it was. And even if you didn't really listen to Van Halen like thoroughly or like really in-depthly, you saw that color pattern, you knew it was the Frankenstein, you knew that was Van Halen. There's not many guitars that really garner that emotional reaction when you see it. Sure, you had Jimi Hendrix with his Fender Strat, you had, Eric Clapton on the Fender as well, you had Jimmy Page with his Les Paul, but all those guitars were, they have so many names affiliated with that instrument. But the Frankenstein, there's only always going to be one. You see a guitar, you only think of one person, that's Van Halen. So we have to remember that guitar is fucking amazing. It's a great guitar. He went on to make his own guitar company, great guitars as well. His EVH amplifiers, so like he had a legacy as well down on top of it. And you can tell he set the bar. He really did set the bar when it comes to performance, musicianship, crowd pleaser as well. I think one of the things that I do miss, like I was never a part of that generation or was ever got to see any gigs like that. But one thing I do miss, especially seeing those lives when he performed, is just the acrobaticism, the straight up, performance he had on stage. Because one thing I've noticed is that musicians nowadays, they could be the most technical musicians ever. Like, you have all these guitarists and drummers who are all from this jazz background and they're doing these ridiculously technical things with polyrhythms and stuff like that. But what happens is on stage, when they go to perform, guess what? They're standing still for the entire performance. There's no audience interaction or engagement. Of course, there's outliers in every sense. There's definitely that spark missing when it comes to a live performance that I think Eddie did so well. He wasn't just a guitar player on stage. He was a performer. He was an entertainer. He was entertaining the crowd. People were there for him, and of course what he did on his instrument. And he was a straight up entertainer, and I think that's one thing that you miss out on a lot of guitar players nowadays, is that personality, that distinct personality when they're on stage. When you see them, you know exactly who it is. You're looking at that guitarist, you're mesmerized by him, and you can't take your eyes off him. And I think that's one thing that we've kind of lost when it comes to live performance. Well, we've lost live shows just straight up, but when they come back. But that was just one thing I noticed, is that he was such an entertainer on stage. He wasn't just a guitarist, he was a straight up baller entertainer. And on top of all that, he wrote songs. I don't know if Collective has a band, but the things he wrote songs as well that were actually catchy. It made people want to dance, they made people want to mosh, they made people like really get into the music, which I think as an art form has kind of been lost a bit lately, where bands tend to opt to try and be as technical or as progressive as possible, having weird type signatures, ridiculous technicality, which is great and all, but sometimes you need to be able to write a good song. And a good song is one that, it may be more for a mainstream audience, but it's catchy, it gets people going, and, sometimes being the simplest things are the best things. And on top of that, he was just an amazing musician in general. But yeah, I think I've rambled on long enough. Yeah, I didn't think it was going to go this long, but yeah, Eddie Van Halen. One of a kind, will not be forgotten. He was the GOAT. Greatest of all time. He was the GOAT. And you know what? He still is the GOAT. He'll always be the GOAT. I feel like he's going to be one of those artists that in 100 years, 200 years, like all those classical composers, we're going to remember his name. Just as we do like Jimi Hendrix. Van Halen's, that name's not going to go away. And I also think, guitarists coming up now are still probably going to look up to him because he is so inviting and so unique. But anyway, I'm going to stop this video now. I could go on forever talking about this. Anyway, yeah, so a bit of a different video, but I hope you guys still enjoyed it. Yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good day. Bye.